I want to talk to you today about something that can genuinely help lower a great many older adults' blood pressure, and where there's a surprising amount of confusion and outdated or oversimplified advice, what to eat and what not to eat to help control your blood pressure. Because diet genuinely matters for blood pressure, it's one of the real levers you have. But the common understanding of the blood pressure diet is often reduced to a single oversimplified message, usually just cut salt, or is muddled by conflicting fads, when the full picture is both richer and more effective. So today I want to clear up the common misconceptions about eating for blood pressure, explain what the evidence actually supports, the role of salt, but also so much more, and how to eat in a way that genuinely helps your blood pressure, in partnership with your doctor. And I'll keep this calm and practical, because while this is genuinely important, eating for healthy blood pressure is something you can do, and understanding the full, evidence-based picture, rather than an oversimplified or faddish version, lets you genuinely help your heart, alongside any medication and your doctor's guidance. And remember, diet supports but doesn't replace your prescribed treatment. Let me start with the role of salt, because it's the part people know, but often misunderstand. It's true and well established that too much salt, sodium, raises blood pressure in many people, and that reducing salt can help lower it. So cutting down on salt is a genuine and important part of eating for healthy blood pressure. But there are common misunderstandings. The first is thinking that the salt you add at the table is the main source, when in fact most of the salt in modern diets comes from processed, packaged and restaurant foods, bread, processed meats, canned goods, ready meals, snacks, sauces and the like. So simply not adding table salt, while helpful, misses most of the salt you eat. The second is not realizing how much hidden salt is in everyday foods that don't even taste salty. So the key understanding about salt is that reducing it genuinely helps blood pressure, but that most salt comes from processed and packaged foods, not the salt shaker. So the effective approach is to eat fewer, highly processed and salty packaged foods, check labels for salt or sodium, and cook more from fresh ingredients, while also going easy on added salt. So cutting salt matters, but the real key is reducing processed and packaged foods where most salt hides, not just the table salt. So understanding where salt really comes from is the first key. Let me give you the bigger correction, the most important one, that eating for blood pressure is about far more than just cutting salt. The common oversimplification reduces the blood pressure diet to salt alone. But the evidence shows that the overall pattern of what you eat matters enormously, often as much as or more than salt alone. Eating patterns rich in vegetables, fruits, whole grains, beans and legumes, nuts and healthy proteins like fish, with less processed food, red and processed meat, sugary foods and drinks, and unhealthy fats, are genuinely effective at lowering blood pressure, beyond their salt content. There are well-studied eating patterns designed exactly for this, emphasizing these foods which can meaningfully lower blood pressure. A big part of why these patterns work is that they're rich in nutrients like potassium, found abundantly in vegetables, fruits and beans, which helps counter sodium's effect and lower blood pressure, along with other beneficial nutrients, and they're naturally lower in salt and unhealthy components. So the most important correction is that eating for blood pressure is about the whole pattern. Plenty of vegetables, fruits, whole grains, beans, nuts and healthy proteins, and less processed food, red and processed meat, sugar and unhealthy fat. Not just cutting salt, and this overall pattern is genuinely powerful for blood pressure. So the whole healthy eating pattern, not salt alone, is the central key. Let me emphasize the potassium and produce point, because it's an underappreciated part of the picture. While everyone hears about cutting salt, far fewer people know about the importance of eating more potassium-rich foods, which help lower blood pressure, partly by countering the effects of sodium. Potassium is found abundantly in vegetables, fruits, beans and legumes, and other whole plant foods, so eating plenty of these genuinely helps your blood pressure, both through their potassium and their other benefits. This is why the produce-rich eating patterns work so well. However, an important caution: while getting potassium from food is generally good and encouraged, some older adults, particularly those with kidney problems or on certain medications, including some blood pressure medicines, need to be careful about potassium because too much can be harmful for them. So you should not take potassium supplements for blood pressure without your doctor's advice. And if you have kidney issues or are on such medications, check with your doctor about potassium. So eating plenty of potassium-rich vegetables, fruits and beans genuinely helps blood pressure for most people, but get it from food rather than supplements. And check with your doctor if you have kidney problems or are on medications affecting potassium. So increasing potassium-rich produce from food and with medical caution where relevant is an important key. So producing potassium sensibly matter a lot. Let me give you the other dietary factors that genuinely affect blood pressure, because the full picture includes several. First, alcohol. Drinking too much alcohol raises blood pressure, so limiting alcohol genuinely helps, an important and sometimes overlooked factor. Second, weight. Being overweight raises blood pressure, so if relevant, the eating pattern that helps you reach and maintain a healthier weight further helps your blood pressure, and weight loss can meaningfully lower it. Third, reducing sugary foods and drinks and highly processed foods, which contribute to weight gain and poor heart health, and often carry hidden salt. Fourth, caffeine can transiently raise blood pressure in some people, though its role is smaller and individual. And fifth, the overall pattern of more whole, minimally processed foods and fewer processed ones underlies all of this. So beyond salt and produce, limiting alcohol, managing weight through healthy eating, reducing sugar and processed foods, and the overall whole food pattern all genuinely affect blood pressure. So the full dietary picture: salt reduction, more produce and potassium, limited alcohol, healthy weight, and less sugar and processed food is what genuinely helps, far richer than the cut salt oversimplification. So the complete pattern, including alcohol and weight, is what works. Let me explain why eating this way matters so much, because the benefits are real and substantial. Eating for healthy blood pressure genuinely matters because, as I've discussed, high blood pressure silently raises the risk of strokes, heart attacks, heart failure, and kidney damage. And lowering it reduces that risk, and diet is one of the real levers you have to help lower it, alongside any medication. A genuinely healthy eating pattern can meaningfully reduce blood pressure, sometimes substantially, and in partnership with your doctor can be an important part of your control, occasionally reducing the medication needed, though never a reason to stop medication on your own. And the same eating pattern that helps your blood pressure also benefits your heart, weight, blood sugar, and overall health broadly, so it's powerfully worthwhile. So eating for blood pressure matters because diet is a real lever for lowering blood pressure and its serious risks, because a healthy pattern can meaningfully help, and because it benefits your whole health, all of which make understanding and applying the full evidence-based picture genuinely worthwhile, rather than relying on the oversimplified cut salt alone message that leaves most of the benefit on the table. So the substantial, broad benefits make eating well for blood pressure truly worthwhile. So diet is a real powerful lever. Let me be clear about how this works alongside your doctor and medication, because that's important. Eating for blood pressure is a powerful support, but it works alongside, not instead of, your doctor's care and any prescribed medication. So if you take blood pressure medication, continue taking it as prescribed and never stop or reduce it on your own on the strength of dietary changes. Rather, if your blood pressure improves with diet, discuss with your doctor whether your medication can be adjusted, which is their decision. Tell your doctor about your dietary efforts and have your blood pressure monitored to see the benefit. And, importantly, if you have other conditions, especially kidney problems, or are on medications that affect things like potassium, check with your doctor or a dietitian about how to eat for your blood pressure safely, since the right approach is individualized. A dietitian can help you apply a blood pressure lowering eating pattern in a way that suits you. So eat for your blood pressure as a powerful support, but alongside your doctor's care and any medication, never stopping medication on your own, monitoring your blood pressure, and individualizing your diet with your doctor or a dietitian, especially if you have kidney problems or relevant medications. So diet supports but works with your medical care. So combine diet with your doctor's guidance and any medication. Let me paint you a picture of how getting this right plays out. Picture a man in his 70s with high blood pressure who's heard he should cut salt, so he stopped using the salt shaker, but still eats plenty of processed foods, bread, processed meats, ready meals, snacks, full of hidden salt, eats few vegetables and fruits, drinks a fair amount of alcohol, and carries some extra weight, so his blood pressure stays high despite his belief that he's eating for it. In the oversimplified version, he's frustrated that cutting table salt didn't help much, not realizing he's missed most of the picture. Now picture him understanding the full evidence-based approach. He cuts down on processed and packaged foods where most salt hides and cooks more from fresh. He eats plenty of vegetables, fruits, beans, whole grains, and healthy proteins like fish, rich in the potassium that helps lower blood pressure. He limits his alcohol, and the pattern helps him lose some weight. His blood pressure comes down meaningfully, and his doctor, monitoring it, is able in time to consider adjusting his medication. The same man, but eating for blood pressure, the full evidence-based way, rather than just cutting table salt, genuinely helped his blood pressure and his whole health. That contrast is exactly why understanding the complete picture of eating for blood pressure, not the oversimplified version, matters so much. So the full eating pattern genuinely lowered his blood pressure. And let me speak directly to those of you caring for or close to an older person with high blood pressure. Because diet can genuinely help and you can support it. Understand that eating for blood pressure is about far more than cutting table salt. It's the whole pattern. Plenty of vegetables, fruits, beans, whole grains, and healthy proteins, rich in the potassium that helps lower blood pressure, with fewer processed and packaged foods where most salt hides, less red and processed meat, sugar, and unhealthy fat, limited alcohol, and a healthy weight. You can help by supporting this eating pattern, cooking more from fresh ingredients, reducing processed and salty packaged foods, offering plenty of produce and beans, checking labels for salt, and supporting limited alcohol and a healthy weight. You can encourage getting potassium from food rather than supplements, and importantly, checking with the doctor about potassium if they have kidney problems or are on relevant medications. Support their blood pressure medication as prescribed, never stopping it on their own, and monitoring with the doctor. And a dietitian can help tailor the approach, helping a loved one eat the full, evidence-based way for their blood pressure, alongside their doctor's care, can meaningfully help lower it and benefit their whole health, far more than just cutting table salt. So your support for the full healthy eating pattern genuinely helps their blood pressure. Let me draw this all together. What to eat for healthy blood pressure is something where oversimplified or outdated advice, usually just cut salt, leaves most of the benefit unrealized when the full evidence-based picture is richer and more effective. Reducing salt genuinely helps, but most salt comes from processed and packaged foods, not the table shaker. So the effective approach is to reduce processed and salty foods and cook from fresh. The most important correction is that eating for blood pressure is about the whole pattern. Plenty of vegetables, fruits, whole grains, beans, nuts, and healthy proteins like fish, and less processed food, red and processed meat, sugar, and unhealthy fat, which is genuinely powerful, partly through the potassium that produce and beans provide, which helps counter sodium, though potassium should come from food and with medical caution for those with kidney problems or relevant medications. Limiting alcohol, managing weight through healthy eating, and reducing sugar and processed foods further help. This matters because diet is a real lever for lowering blood pressure and its serious risks of stroke and heart attack, and benefits whole body health, but it works alongside, not instead of, your doctor's care and any medication, which you should never stop on your own, monitoring your blood pressure and individualizing your diet with your doctor or a dietitian. So here's what I'll leave you with. First, understand that reducing salt genuinely helps blood pressure, but that most salt comes from processed, packaged, and restaurant foods, not the table shaker. So the effective approach is to eat fewer processed and salty packaged foods, check labels, and cook more from fresh, as well as going easy on added salt. Second, and most importantly, understand that eating for blood pressure is about the whole pattern, not just salt. Eat plenty of vegetables, fruits, whole grains, beans and legumes, nuts and healthy proteins like fish, and less processed food, red and processed meat, sugary foods and drinks, and unhealthy fat, which is genuinely powerful for blood pressure. Third, eat plenty of potassium-rich vegetables, fruits and beans, which help lower blood pressure by countering sodium, but get potassium from food rather than supplements, and check with your doctor about potassium if you have kidney problems or are on medications that affect it. Fourth, limit alcohol, which raises blood pressure. Manage your weight through healthy eating, since extra weight raises blood pressure, and reduce sugary and highly processed foods. And fifth, eat for your blood pressure as a powerful support alongside, not instead of, your doctor's care and any medication, never stopping medication on your own, monitoring your blood pressure with your doctor, and tailoring your diet with your doctor or a dietitian, especially if you have kidney problems or relevant medications. Eating the full evidence-based way for your blood pressure, not just cutting table salt, can meaningfully help lower it and benefit your whole health. So it's well worth understanding the complete picture. So take care of yourself, eat the whole healthy pattern, limit salt, alcohol and processed foods, and support it with your doctor's care. And because managing blood pressure and individualizing your diet, especially with other conditions, require a doctor, please treat eating for blood pressure as a powerful support to discuss with your own physician or a dietitian alongside any prescribed treatment, rather than as a substitute for that care, and never stop blood pressure medication on your own.